Hi, my name is Michael Ogechi Abbey with Enterprise Express Tax Service. Today, I've gotten this question quite a number of times. People ask me, do I really need to hire a tax professional to do my taxes? The answer really is surprisingly, coming from a tax professional, the answer is no. You don't always need to hire a tax professional to do your taxes. However, the thing is this, do you have the knowledge to prepare your taxes in the best way that they ought to be prepared so you don't get into problems with either the IRS or the state tax services? And that's the issue. Typically, a tax preparer is this is what they do for a living, and so they do this consistently every day. They're working with taxes. They're used to the tax code. They're used to shall I say, the pitfalls or the areas that could possibly be problematic, um, especially when it comes to things like deductions. Most tax professionals now have to adhere to continuing education, which means they have to be up to speed with all the different tax um, changes that occur during the tax year. Give you an example. That we're now in January of 2024. We still have changes in the tax law that are being debated by Congress that may be included in this filing season. Now, there's no way that a regular person will be or may be up to speed with that. They could be, but there's every possibility that a professional, a good tax professional, will be up to speed with all those changes. And so that's probably the number one reason why I would recommend using a tax professional. Something else now, there's the IRS has developed a number of free e-file systems that anyone can go online to irs.gov and use to file their tax returns. They're not as robust as, say, your TurboTax or other tax preparation software, but they pretty much do the same thing. As a matter of fact, those systems have been developed with the collaboration of the big tax companies like H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, Tax Act, and even TurboTax. So in a way, if you do get to use those free e-file systems, you are pretty much almost using the same kind of software that these other companies use. Would I recommend them? I probably would. Then they do what they're supposed to do. The only caveat is if you have some complications or complicated taxes, they may not fully support what you need in a tax software, in order to get those taxes done efficiently and correctly. So that would, to me, that would be the only drawback. If it's simple taxes, you probably could, navigate it yourself. But again, like I always say, if you had a pain in your back, most likely you're going to seek out a doctor to go and take care of it. Same thing with taxes. If you have taxes that need to be taken care of, you probably want to go to a specialist or professional who's been doing this for a long time, so that they can take care of that. And again, also it saves you time as well. Will you pay for the service? Yes, you will. That's part of what it is. The same way you might pay a doctor to take care of something for you. But I do know some people, and give an example. I have some people who have been coming to my practice who eventually get to start doing their taxes by themselves. And sometimes I actually recommend it, especially if it's simple taxes. I'll say, hey, you know what? I think you can do this yourself. It's pretty easy. And so they've come to me a number of times, and then they're comfortable doing it by themselves. And sometimes I actually come back and ask me a few questions. Did they do this right? Did they do that right? And I'll let them know. So yes, the answer is, you can. Any reasonable person can do taxes by themselves. However, there is a strong likelihood that if you're not keeping up with the tax regulations, the tax laws, and you know, there's a possibility that you could make errors. I've had this happen so many times where I've had to now correct those errors on behalf of a client. And so you definitely don't want to be in that position. So certainly if you have any trepidation or you're not quite sure about anything, I would just go ahead and use a tax professional until you get to a point where you're absolutely comfortable with doing your own taxes. Um, the problem these days is there are so many changes in the tax laws as we go along, and it's easy to miss some of those things. And sometimes the software companies don't necessarily cover everything, so you actually have to go out and do some additional research to make sure that you're getting everything that you can for your tax clients. I remember a couple of years ago, the COVID stimulus, a lot of people missed out on the COVID stimulus payments because, for whatever reason, they didn't quite know what boxes to check on the tax forms. Um, a lot of people didn't realize that the government was offering to, if for instance, if you missed out on the stimulus payments and you didn't get it, the government was offering to give that back to you through tax refunds. But if you missed out in certain boxes on the 1040, it would be a strong likelihood that you may not get that. I also had instances where some people went ahead and checked the boxes saying that they had not gotten the stimulus refunds. And then they ended up getting a large bill from the IRS because they got it and either they didn't realize it or they just didn't know what box to check on the forms. Those 1040s can be pretty intimidating. Line by line, there's so much information there to go through that you really need to know what you're doing or what's going on. So that's just one example of why you probably need to use a tax professional. So once again, my name is Michael Agachi Abbey, just talking about why some people may decide not to use a tax professional, and why some people do, and why I personally would recommend using a tax professional until you're very proficient. I mean, if you're an accountant and you have a background in finance, sure, you'd certainly have all the skills and the know-how. But even then, I have people who I know who are accountants, and they still give their taxes to someone else because they just don't want the hassle, and it takes some time, and they want someone who is used to doing their taxes every year to take care of it. Okay. So once again, my name is Michael Agachi Abbey with Enterprise Express Tax Service. We are a tax office based in Bowie, Maryland. We do taxes for all the states in the country. And we are also a fully remote capable office. We do not have to physically come into the office because we have a secure online portal where you can upload all your documents and we'll take care of your taxes for you. Michael Agachi Abbey, I look forward to working with you in the 2024 tax filing season. Bye.